Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the Temple of Speed for round 3 of the ARL Friday Multiclass series. So excited that we're finally able to get a broadcast going on this series. And, well, it's my pleasure to be your host. I am Jack Mays. Those of you who've been watching us on Tuesdays on AMS2 are already deeply familiar with my voice, for better or for worse. We shall see. I hope you don't get tired of me too quickly because, well, we've got an absolute stormer for you this evening. We are already into the LM GT3 qualifying here at Monza. It is a 3-class race, ELMS style, LM GT3s, LMP3s, and the LMP2s in the unrestricted ELMS setup. Absolutely riveting cars, absolutely riveting circuit, and I think an absolutely riveting evening for all of you tonight. Right now, we are on board with the championship leader in the LMGT3 field, none other than Mr. Chase Jones, getting ready to start their first proper qualifying lap. That's Edward Pina in the background going a bit deep into turn 1. Not really going to be seeing much on his first timed lap, if it even gets timed at all. But I felt that this was a good way to start us off. A man that we know is very quick. And we'll see how quick he goes. Obviously, we are only just a little bit into our qualifying. It is his first timed lap. It's a 35-minute long session. The first 2 minutes are deemed as setup time. Everybody to get their cars prepped, get to the end of pit lane, and get ready to go out. It will be 10 minutes per class. So 7 minutes remain for the LMGT3 cars. Then it will be a minute or so of staging for the rest of the field. Chase Jones going to have to deal with a little bit of traffic here. Obviously not too much coming into Ascari. But, you know, we'll see how the times shake up. We've got 9 of our LMGT3s are on the circuit at the moment. Purple Sector 2 for Chase Jones. And, you know, it's the times aren't going to be exactly lighting up so far. Obviously, there's going to be some purple sectors. The circuit is fully wide open, and we'll see what this time is. Probably going to be a bit of a benchmark time. It is a 1:52.0 for Chase Jones. A pretty solid time, if I do say so myself. I'm reasonably familiar with Monza, and that's certainly quicker than I can go, but that doesn't say much. There's a reason I'm here, and everybody else is there. The times, though, quickly dropping in. It's actually St. Clair, Diego Ramirez St. Clair, who goes ahead and pips Chase's benchmark time with a 1:51.9. So we're already in the 51s on the first few timed laps. We're going to go on board now with Tetsuo Hideyoshi in a bit of a favorite of mine, the Mercedes AMG, the big gawping mouth coming through turn 1 here at Monza. And, you know, why don't we go for a little bit of an onboard with Tetsuo, and bear with me with cameras and switching and all that. This is my first time both commentating and broadcasting a race here on LMU. Bit out of shapes for Tetsuo coming through the second chicane, so obviously I might be a little bit slow. Please bear with me. I promise I will get better throughout the season. The tools we now have for LMU are stellar, and I felt that I was finally comfortable enough to take it on my own and still give a good show in through Lesmo 2. Absolutely clattering that inside curve. That is something you can do depending on your setup. However, you know, if you push it a little bit too hard, you could find yourself rounded in the gravel. It's big improvements for Tetsuo based on his earlier times through Ascari now, kissing that entry curb, not cutting the apex curb at the very end as much as I would be expecting. It sort of depends on your style there and how comfortable you are with the car. And Maybe Tetsuo still has some comfortability to find, some pace to find, but he's going to round the final corner, Curva Parabolica. I don't even think I need to say its name. Everybody knows that corner. Everybody pretty much knows this circuit by the back of its hand. That's what I like to tell myself anyways. Hideyoshi comes across the line with a 151.6 and jumps him up to 4th. I'm going to see now some more Porsche action. Not just any Porsche, a personal favorite Porsche of mine, the Iron Dames car. I'm so sad that they're no longer in the WEC. I hope that, I don't know, somebody comes along, gives them a boatload of money, and they can return to WEC competition in earnest, because I've loved supporting that team throughout the years, and love seeing what those girls can do. See what Jesse and Marte has here in the BMW. I notice he put in a absolutely rapid first sector, and he's having to fight a bit with the Porsche coming into Ascari. You know, something that drivers need to do on qualifying laps is they need to find space, they need to give each other space, so certainly going to lose a bit of time. And, well, it's another purple sector. With that all considered, and no, that's not 9.6 seconds quicker than the previous purple lap. That is 9.6 above their own lap. We're going to see what he's got rounding the final corner, but this looks like this could be an absolute blitzer of a lap. About 4/10 up in the first sector on the rest, and another 2/10 up in the second sector. We're going to see coming across the line. It is a purple lap, only by about 1.5 tenths, excuse me, over Chase Jones. The streamer's up. St. Clair immediately putting that lap time to shame. 2.5 tenths between themselves and the next best lap. And if you're noticing what I'm seeing, there is a sort of random clock in the middle of the screen, top middle. Don't know what that is. I've never seen that before today. I tried to figure out how to fix it, so we're just gonna pretend it's not there. Is that okay with you? Because I think that's that works for me. Seems that the BMWs have quite a bit of pace here. I'm not entirely surprised. It's always been a car that was happy in a straight line and very dominant in that way, but because of lots of different BOP that has happened, you know, the new tire model and physics updates for the LMGT3 cars, it's sort of, you know, been medium for the past while. So seeing them back up at the top at Monza is not the most surprising things. However, Chase Jones in the Porsche, a car that has always been strong, maybe never quite dominant in competitions that I have seen and I have participated in. He's going a whole heck of a lot quicker. Already up 5/10 on their previous best, a purple middle sector. And we'll see what that looks like coming across the line for Chase Jones. Is it a fastest lap? It is. It's a 49.8. We're out of the 52s. We're out of the 51s. We're out of the 50s. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the 49s here on circuit. We're on board now with Kevin Serra in the lone Lexus, putting their lap time down. I think a lot of these drivers getting to the very ends of what they're going to do in qualifying here. These are the last couple of laps coming down. If anybody has crossed the line, oh, there's a stop-go for Kevin Serra. And he's in pit lane now, and he's not going to be able to serve that. That should go away through qualifying. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But if anybody has crossed the line and is on a lap coming into the end of this session, they will be allowed to finish it. The LMP3s are now coming onto the circuit. 3 of them having exiting the pits at the moment. So it's wiggly for Maleta coming out of Ascari. Excuse me, not coming out of Ascari, coming out of the second chicane. This is not the first time I've done that. I can promise you that I hopefully won't make that mistake again. I won't promise you that. I probably will make that mistake. From the Helicam, it looks very similar from the top, the way the cars go in. I don't know what it is. Tyler Moore, the man himself, is in the chat telling me that's the session clock. Tyler, do we know how to get rid of it? Because up until today, in all the testing I've done, I've never seen it before. And I don't see a button to get rid of it. So it might just be, we're just going to have a session clock in front of us. Never mind, I found the button. Oh my goodness, it was right in front of me the whole time. I've done it. No session clock with its irrelevant information. If it was, you know, maybe the real life time and this was an endurance race, that might make a bit more sense. But not quite. Didn't make sense. Maleta, though, going on another lap. Or no, not going on another lap. This is their final lap. It isn't an improvement. I think that's going to be it for the LMGT3s coming across the field. We're going to switch over now to some LMP3 cars. A criminally underrated class of car, which you could ask yourself, Jack, how is a car class underrated when there's only 6 of them in the game? Well, it doesn't get enough love. They are so much fun to drive. They're so much fun to race, and I don't think enough people drive them. A bit difficult. They're prototypes after all. And also in competition with 3 classes, with the LMP2s and the GT3s, the pace difference between the LMP3 and the GT3 on some circuits isn't great enough that making your way through that traffic is all that easy. And the LMP2 cars, well, they're like missiles, and a lot of LMP2 drivers sort of consider them like a GT car and try to overtake them like they're a GT car, forgetting, hey, we got a lot of downforce too. Our minimum speeds are, in a lot of cases, as fast as you. Maybe don't dive up the inside and punt me off into the gravel. It happens. Hopefully none of that happening tonight. It is a really great squad of drivers that is here at ARL. Lots of super competitive drivers, and looking forward to some good spring competition. Nelson, who we're on board with now, is well, we set the sectors alight so far in Sector 1. A little bit of a lockup going into Lesmo 1, but nothing too concerning so far. Missing that apex at Lesmo 2, not wanting to go up on that curb. These cars run low. Their downforce is is put through the floor, so big curbs generally not worth a consideration. But it's a green Sector 2. I believe it's Kurt Van Otteride in the Ligier just behind. Or excuse me, in the Ginetta just behind. We're on board with the Ligier. As the one who set the purple time. So whether or not Nelson wanted to do it, he's giving him a heck of a tow behind, and the LMP3 cars do have 2 separate cars. It's the Ginetta G61 and then the Ligier JS P325, and it's pole for the moment for Nelson in his Ligier, and I think the Ginetta's favored generally across competition. People like it a bit more, and they are relatively similar on pace. However, the Ligier is known for greater top speed, and on a circuit like Monza, top speed is worth a lot, and it's difficult to, you know, work against that. If a car's just faster in a straight line, it's going to be faster in a straight line. So setup changes can help with that, and nailing everywhere else. But I think the Ginettas are going to be a bit on the back foot as Joshua Nelson stays pole, not by much, with Kurtz closely in second, 35 thousandths of a second, which for the layman basically nothing in motorsport. That's a year. Well, it's not really a year. That is quite a margin. But, you know, when it comes down to it, there is a mountain to climb to breach that time. I do know for a fact that we are missing a good chunk of the LMP3 field. I think prior commitments sort of... I think Kurt's having a bit of an issue in Parabolica. He does. We'll see him around as Nelson goes quicker further. But, let's see what Tyler Moore has as he crosses the line. He goes third with a 45.9. I know that a lot of drivers having prior commitments, taking a look in the Discord, you know, not as many around as some others were hoping, but we'll have to see them back again. The plan, at least for me, is to regularly keep this series broadcast and keep it available for viewing pleasure when I'm available, of course. Friday nights, believe it or not, don't often do much. Usually I'm working the next day anyways, so I'm not going out and doing anything too terribly exciting. But we'll see. If I'm available, I would love to bring this to you. I love watching motorsport. I love talking about it, and sim racing is near and dear to my heart. I do it I used to do it daily when I had a bit more time, but I'm not fast enough to compete, so I use my talents elsewhere. And I come hang out in the box. 2 more minutes remain between the end of LMP3 qualifying and the beginning of LMP2 qualifying. Still Nelson on the pole. Some personal best, a personal best middle sector for Tyler Moore. Nelson, though, is still going quicker. A 44.4, putting over a second between him and the field. Wright goes quicker next to the 45.5. Tyler Moore jumps back up to third. Otterreed, same deal, but it's still over half a second between the best Ginetta and the lone Ligier. Well, there's the Ginetta briefly backwards. That's Jace Wright. Maybe having a bit of an issue coming into turn 1, and we'll see what that was. Actually, sorry, this is Joshua Nelson. Just briefly having a bit of technical issue. All right, fine, fair enough. Now let's see if I got Jace Wright into turn 1. See what happens there. He just begins to turn in, and the rear sort of swaps ways on him. He's carrying a bit too much speed. Gets out of the way really quickly. Wonderful, wonderful. One of the exciting things about this broadcasting tool is, as we've just seen, the ability to automate replays, which for those of you who have either spectated a session or attempted a broadcast or even watched a Le Mans Ultimate broadcast elsewhere, you know, you pull up the replay bar. It's a little bit clunky. It's not beautiful, and it can be a pain in the butt for a broadcaster. So I have a screen that tells me what happens, who did it. So I saw, you know, yellow flag, Jace Wright. I click on it. It loads it. It shows it, and it seems to work pretty well. So we'll see whether that's use applicable. And Joshua Nelson is still going quicker. He finishes his qualifying session with a 1:44.3. The Ginettas are going quicker, but Kurt von Ottenrade is currently third. Tyler Moore is, Otterreed is second. Tyler Moore is third. And I think he's going to stay out for another lap. Whether he crossed the line early enough, should be fine to do that. And then we have Ricky Bobby, the man who is currently holding the wooden spoon as far as qualifying is concerned, is going to be the last to set their lap time. And it's a good livery on that Ginetta. Most Ginettas are running the single livery that exists. the sort of orange and blue camo job. It's a good livery, don't get me wrong, but when most of the field is running it, not so good. But great to see many custom liveries, which are better for viewing, but the unfortunate thing is, as you may or may not have noticed on the timing tower, everyone who's running a custom livery gets the applicable 397 number next to their name, so not accurate on driver numbers. Hopefully that will be fixed in the future. Fingers crossed. Granted, the official LMU overlays also get that wrong, so who's to say? I think Ricky Bobby, though, is going to bring the end of their qualifying as we see Randy Magruder, the first of the LMP2s to line up. He's ready. He's excited. I think it'll be 20 seconds till he is allowed on circuit. Waiting with bated breath as Autorade comes across the line. It is an improvement. He gets ever closer to Joshua Nelson's time. A 10th between them, but it's not enough to reach pole as we hear some LMP2s fire up. Those naturally aspirated V8s. They do make some noise. I'll tell you what. Someone who's has heard them in person on upshift and downshift, it is, well, if you don't have earplugs in, you might get some hearing damage. It is supremely loud. They sound great. They sound like race cars. And we'll see them all with their pit lights in sync. Which, I must say, I do appreciate. They're going to get ready to go at any moment. There are, I see, currently 5 cars, 6 cars on the timing screen that are moving. 7 cars, actually, in the LMP2 field. Here goes Randy Magruder first onto the circuit. And these cars are a lot louder than the LMP2s. Or excuse me, than the LMP3s. A lot louder than even the GT3s. So, keep my ear on that. If it gets a little too loud, I might have to do a cardinal sin and quickly turn down the volume. Which, actually, I think I'm going to do. They are quite loud on the flyby, and as much as I appreciate race car noises, I live and breathe race car noises, don't want them to be so loud that we all go deaf. We saw there Randy Magruder on his outlap going a bit deep into turn 1. These cars take a little bit to get up to temperature on their tires. Certainly not as long as, not as difficult as it used to be. We're still on the back of the tire model update that has now come to every single car in the lineup. LMGT3s, LMP3s, LMP2s, and now the new Hypercar tire update. All exciting stuff coming to LMU. And I think what they did to these prototypes with that tire model update, a little bit of physics updates along with it, was fantastic. The LMP2 has always been a tricky car to drive. It is a tricky car to drive, generally. And now it's a bit more approachable, a bit more predictable, and these things are an absolute joy to drive. You'll see from Randy Magruder, we're going to stay on board with him for his first shot at qualifying here, and I will run you through the lap since I haven't done it, and we'll see what it looks like on board an LMP2 car. Probably not the fastest time Randy's going to set, but into turn 1, braking as late as he dare with as much tire temperature as he has in the car. Not taking too much curb either way through the Curva Grande, which doesn't end up feeling like much of a corner, but once you're going through it 2-3 wide, it can feel a little sketchy. Into the second chicane, avoiding that sausage curb on the both apexes well, running it wide but not too wide into the gravel, and then Lesmo 1. It is a blind corner, super tricky to nail your braking point and your turn in. There's not a lot of references for you. Lesmo 2, a lot simpler. Yet again, unlike the GT3s, avoiding the apex curb there. A clean looking lap so far. Not the quickest time we've seen in the first sector. Ascari is next to be tackled. Braking very late. Going to take as much of that apex curb. Don't want to dip that wheel into that gutter on the right. Not too much on the left. And run it out onto the back straight towards the final corner. There are only 11 corners on this circuit. It feels like there's more. But it's a lot of straight lines. A lot of straights, a lot of fuel burning in all of these cars. We're going to see what Randy Magruder has to come across the line. I think he's not going to stay there for too long, but it is a 42-0 for him. Immediately bipped by De Leon. And we'll see. Time should start coming in pretty quickly. More coming in now. It's still Dennis and De Leon on provisional pole. We have times dropping in all fairly close on the opening lap between the 5 that have started. Javier Sanabria is the driver who's next to set the lap. Lit it up in Sector 2. We'll see how his Sector 3 looks. Comes across the line with a 40.7. I had a feeling that that lap was going to be rapid, and that is very quick. The times will drop more and more as these drivers get up to temperature, sort of gain confidence, which, you can sort of simulate your qualifying as much as you want. You can, go out on low fuel, feel your way out. But once you're in a race session, there's a bit more that goes on mentally, at least for me. And I know for some other drivers that I race with, there's a lot more that comes down to finding your absolute best when it counts. And I think Javier Sanabria is finding his best so far. Another purple sector, this time in Sector 1, about 0.3 quicker than I've seen at the moment. Things are looking good in this Orica. All LMP2 cars, mind you, are running the Orica 07 LMP2 chassis. We're all the same car, unlike an LMP2. Everybody gets one car, and it's a great one. See, the time's beginning to drop again. Magruder went top, then De Leon, and now Sparks is the next. We're into the 39s. It's not a purple Sector 2 for Sanabria, but it's still a very good sector time nonetheless. Final corner again. Curva Parabolica. Gonna come across the line any moment. His sectors, though, they're looking greener and greener the longer he's been on this lap. It is going to be a 38.8. Good enough for pole by 2.5 tenths. More times are beginning to drop. Dennis and De Leon already putting quick sectors on the board. Around Lesmo 2. And, up by half a second on their own personal best for Sector 1. See what it is. Sector 2, it's another purple. Is it going to be purple, purple, purple? That would be a mega effort. Super clean. Ascari there. Maybe getting a tiny bit of a distant tow from the car ahead, though De Leon not electing to really stay into it. Braking late. The interesting thing about Curva Parabolica that I feel like a lot of people don't realize until they drive it, you'd think it's a big braking zone. You're carrying a lot of speed, but no, not really. Randy Magruder goes top, immediately deposed by Dennis and De Leon again. And I'm sure Randy Magruder's like, man, that lap was good, except for that this guy right behind me keeps putting in quicker laps. So I don't get to sit on pole and ruminate in it for very long. Fernando Deutsch in the inner Europole has gone P2. Personal favorites of team of mine. Their color scheme is certainly a recognizable one. I think it's a good scheme. I think it looks phenomenal. And clearly, liveries give horsepower. I don't know. Most people don't know this, but good liveries do make you faster. as Deutsch sets a purple sector 1, just further proving my point. 2 minutes remain in qualifying. We do have our 60-minute feature race coming up. And something worth noting about tonight's race, it is 2 times fuel. Normally, a 60-minute race around Monza, not a whole lot of strategy going to be playing out. And certainly the LMP2 cars, the LMP3 cars, probably wouldn't even have to stop at all. I think they can go 65, 70 minutes on a tank, depending on the circuit. So everybody's going to have to stop earlier than expected. So maybe some strategy plays. Dennis and DeLeon, purple lap again, the first one into the 37s. Deutsch put in some good sectors, but I'm afraid I don't think it's going to be enough unless this was in a mega final sector. Sparks goes first. Provisional pole immediately into pit lane. I think that's going to be the end of their qualifying. And one thing I will say about Tony Sparks and Dennis and DeLeon, that because of the live timing screen I have in front of me, I can actually see how much fuel everybody's running in the prototype field, which for those of you who are familiar with competing in LMU, you have the virtual energy system in LMGT3s and hypercars, so you can see how much fuel or how much VE everybody has. And in the prototypes, you can't. However, I can. And the reason I'm bringing that up now rather than in the race is because both Dennis and DeLeon and Tony Sparks and most of the P2 field, in fact, is running close to half a tank of fuel. I mean, I know you need to put in extra with it being double fuel in qualifying, but they're not running it all the way down, except for the man who's currently on the pole, Javier Sanabria. He is running out of fuel. Why, this only has fuel for one final lap, which is good, because that's all he needs. It's a purple sector 2 for DeLeon. We'll see what it looks like as he comes across the line. Is it going to be enough for pole? It is not quite enough. The man who's been challenging pole the entire qualifying session is 62 hundredths away. And the good news is for Sanabria is, well, I don't think anybody else, unless Randy Magruder, he is setting personal best laps, but it's not setting purples everywhere quite like Javier is doing now. One final corner to contend with to further set himself apart from the field in qualifying. Randy Magruder goes 4th with his final lap of 38.3. I think we're about to see another fastest lap. We are. It's almost a minute 36 time, a 1:37.058 for Javier Sanabria. And, well, the qualifying session is all done and dusted. And, well, it kind of went by in a flash. 35 minutes was the full length, and, well, it's a bit already over. I'm going to see, because I've just realized you just have an ugly shot of the garage. Let's see if I can get something just a little bit prettier. There's something a little bit prettier. Nice shot of the start-finish from the pit lane there. The track is open for everybody to grid up. And I'm going to cross my fingers that the qualifying results worked. Seems like they did. I've had troubles with it in the past. I'm excited. Ignore the lap times, whatever. We're doing our best here. But this is the qualifying results for LMP2. I'm actually realizing that nope, we're still good. Javier Sanabria, of course, we just saw, is on the pole in LMP2. Apparently, Dennis and DeLeon is driving a Ferrari. News to me. I didn't realize that they made an LMP2 car, but according to this, he is. Tony Sparks is in 3rd. Randy Magruder's in 4th. Fernando Deutsch 5th. And Devin Anthony is in 6th. I believe the other 3 drivers are not here this evening for the LMP3 qualifying. It is Joshua Nelson on the pole in the mighty quick in a straight line Ligier. And it's a brace of Ginettas following him behind. Kurt von Ottenried in second, Tyler Moore in third, Jace Wright in fourth, and Ricky Bobby in fifth position. Formation has already started. That's impressively quick. So I will just show the qualifying on screen very quickly for LMGT3. I was hoping I'd have enough time to go through the championship standings. It appears that I don't. So apologies for that. I'm used to just a little bit more time between the session ending and this one starting. Perhaps something that'll be something I go through mid-race, because it is a short formation lap. No full formation laps in Le Mans Ultimate. And this is our pole sitter getting ready to go green here at Monza. The start can be everything. This is, after all, the Temple of Speed and the Cathedral of Turn 1 incidents. We're getting ready now. We will be going green at any moment. The green flag is out. The race is underway here for the Friday Multi-Sprint Challenge here at ARL. It's already 3 wide in the LMP3 field. A great start for Denison De Leon. A phenomenal launch, getting past it. And LMP2 briefly in the grass. I think that's Tony Sparks. He had a run, but then because of that run into the grass, maybe lost a bit of time. Everyone's sort of going through mostly cleanly. LMP3 field, nothing doing so far. I'm not seeing any immediate yellow flags, which is an absolutely inspiring start. Joshua Nelson off to a great start in the LMP3 field, converting his pole into leading on lap 1. It's coming into the second chicane. He doesn't seem to be under too much pressure. And in the LMGT3 field, Chase Jones lost the lead at the start of the race. The BMW of Diego Ramirez St. Clair is the one to take the lead on lap 1. A very, very clean start from the entire field. No yellow flags that I could see to be reported. No early drama. Nobody dropping off the field, off the back of the field too quickly. And it is extremely good stuff. See the fight for the lead in LMP2. It is only lap 1, but it is only a 60-minute race. Is Sanabria going to think about it on the brakes into Parabolica? It's not a big braking zone, as I was saying earlier, especially in the LMP2 cars. They are some of the lightest cars in the field, some of the highest horsepower, and some of the highest downforce. So any braking zone you thought was long certainly isn't. Immediately, a fastest lap for Denison De Leon. It is the first lap. He did lead from the start. The fastest lap is going to be his. His lap times will come down immediately. Rest of the field fighting for it. Chase Jones now getting very, very close on the back of St. Clair. I think he might think about a move on the brakes here, but he's going to have to go the long way around for turn 1. See if he can do it. Those Porsche brakes are so mighty, and I think he's got this move just about wrapped up. But here comes Tetsuo Hideyoshi. He almost had the run coming around, but nothing doing for him. But Chase Jones, our pole sitter, retakes the lead. It didn't take him too long, but he is now leading this multi-car train in the LMGT3 field for the moment. And Joshua Nelson in his Ligier off to an immense start. You know, the biggest gap we've seen so far in this field. And I've noticed that the Denison De Leon is still in a Ferrari. What, did it say that during qualifying? Did I not notice? Entirely possible, but he's still in a Ferrari, which that's impressive. I didn't know that. You know, I won't make the same joke twice. I almost did. I thought about it. But that Ligier treating him well. You know, all cars off to a nice, clean start. Here's Javier Sanabria, well and truly on the back now of Denison De Leon. This is the closest he's been. He does put in the fastest lap. He's going to think about it. The long way around of turn 1. We saw this in the LMGT3 field. Now we're going to see what it looks like between some LMP2 cars. Both drivers giving each other an incredibly respectable amount of space. Javier Sanabria manages to hold on to it, though. Gets better in the traction on the exit. And very, very good fight between the pair. It might come back the way of De Leon, might come back the way of Sanabria. He was in the tow through Curva Grande, but didn't have the straight line speed. Maybe is running a bit more rear wing than the man who's leading in the quote-unquote Ferrari. But it is very close, and I think a bit of position swaps in LMGT3. Saw Kurt von Ottenried lost a couple of positions there very suddenly. Is now towards the back of the field. Thinking about it into Lesmo 1. That's a dangerous corner to try to go for a move. Many, many things can go wrong, and they come really close together. Kurt obviously really wanting to get back up those crucial positions. But nothing doing for him there. I think that's I saw Joshua Nelson well in the back, clearly not off to as good of a start. Wait a I've clearly missed a trick here. I'm gonna look back on the replay screen to see what happened to Joshua Nelson, but that was the man who was leading the race. Entirely missed it. I believe this is a yellow flag here for Joshua Nelson, so we're gonna see. Oh, it is! It's around Parabolica. That's where he lost it on lap 2. A bit of a tap with the wall. Nothing too major, but nothing too major as far as damage. But as far as his race is concerned, well, he sort of lost some time, lost some effort, and he's gonna have to work his way back through the fields. He's got some work to do for sure. 8 seconds behind the next fastest car, and not a great start from the man who looked pretty much unbeatable from pole position. Diego Ramirez St. Clair, though, really wants the position back from Chase Jones. They're going too wide through Curva Grande. Into the braking zone. That BMW so quick in a straight line, but here come those mighty Porsche brakes into the second chicane. Chase Jones is still there. Oh, clatters over the curb. They give each other all the space in the world, but me oh my, St. Clair manages to squeeze on past Jones there, and it's not often that you see that executed as well as it is with not too much contact. Maybe just a little bit of a love tap here and there. But St. Clair holding or retaking the lead after the start. And De Leon putting in fastest laps there. It's another thing that I've never seen before today. Don't know what that pop-up is. Don't know if I really like it. In qualifying, it was very handy. Not the most handy thing in the world right now. I think it's more distracting me than anything else. And, well, it was a brief yellow flag I just saw for Denison De Leon, but clearly nothing that's, that caused him too much strife. He's still leading this field, and we're gonna stay on board now. Actually, we're gonna jump on board with Chase Jones. See what it looks like chasing that BMW. And he's really not reeling him in all that much. You'd think that the tow would be much stronger, but I think that BMW is in such good shape for straight line. But here comes Chase Jones trying the long way around into turn 1. He's got it. He took as wide of a line as the into turned in just a little bit late and had it on the exit. Here comes an LMP2 car. That's the 26. That would be... I'm actually not sure who that is. Is that that's Leon Vindel. It is Leon Vindel. That is a man who I didn't elect to qualify. Maybe arrived to the race a bit late and is coming out 2 laps behind. But damn it if he's not going to come out and do some driving. So Leon Vindel comes out for a multi-class practice session, shall we call it. And who knows, if something goes wrong with drivers ahead, he might get some positions. But full and massive respect for coming out and giving it a try. Absolutely. But the fight's still raging on in all three classes, not just LMGT3, but LMP3 as well. One board now with Kurt Von Ossenried. And he's on the back of Tyler Moore, who's actually taken the lead of this race after the spin from Nelson. And is it going to be another long way around? It's going to be another attempt at going the long way around into turn one, both basically equal on the brakes. Van Reed, though, having to cut back onto the circuit after hitting the curb a bit too much. He pushes Tyler Moore off. Moore then loses another spot to right, and I don't know how favorably that would look to a couple of stewards. I'm not one. It is some hard racing to be sure, but Tyler Moore now has work to do to get back up to that top step. Ooh, and it's a bit wide coming out of the second chicane for Ottenreed, and there comes Jace right on through. That was not an intentional pun. I just want to make that clear. It just happened. It's not my fault. It seems that maybe Ottenreed just struggling just a bit. I'm wondering if that tap was enough to cause maybe a bit of steering damage, a bit of input damage. We're gonna see now being chased by Tyler Moore, previous sparring partners. Tyler Moore has a score to settle. Ottenreed maybe a bit quicker outside or at the exit of Ascari. See how they do. Oh, now it's decided to show us the fight for the lead. So I suppose we'll see that instead, because the machine has a mind of its own. See the driver behind, what it looks like in the toe. I mean, he's gaining a little bit. You can see the gap on your screen. A brief yellow for Randy Magruder. I've just seen at the LMP2 field that Denison DeLeon has actually lost his lead. It's a big lockup from right. An LMP3 car goes straight through turn one, and it's right giving up a bit of time, maybe avoiding any further track cuts penalties. But the lead has changed yet again, back in favor of Kurt Von Ottenreed. Chase Jones putting in a blitzer of a lap, finally finding his footing, putting a bit of distance between himself and the rest of the GT3 field, but a bit struggle on the brakes into one for Jace Wright has caused Kevin Van Ottenreed, or Kurt Von Ottenreed, excuse me, to come on through. So it's a bit of a dice roll for who's gonna end up where. I'm not gonna take a peek, see if I can find what happens to DeLeon and where he lost his lead. I do see a yellow flag here. We'll take a look at this. This is for the lead of the... Oh, it's a bit deep! Straight into the back of DeLeon. That would be what has caused that. I think that's... I'm not sure who that was. That might have been Javier Sanabria. Let's see, this might be the exact same thing again, but from his onboard, it is. It's just a lockup in the rear. He tries to catch it, and he's just... Momentum carries him straight into the back of the race leader. So that would be where the lead changed in LMP2. It's now gone the way of Tony Sparks. He's going to begin making his way through the LMP2 field. Nelson putting in some quick laps after his early spin, coming back through the field. He's already gotten through on Ricky Bobby. And now he's got the top three well and truly in his sights. Monza, though, as far as multi-class, is one of the easier circuits to manage traffic. Lots of long straights, sort of big braking zones, nothing too twisty. As I'm seeing a whole host of yellow flags appearing in both Sector 1 and Sector 2. Leanne Vindel, Jason Marta Streamer, the ones getting those yellows. But I think we're going to see here, this is possible contact between Kurt Von Ottenried and Leanne Vindel. LMP2 and an LMP3. That's not possible contact. That is actual contact. And I'm going to assume that was a bit of a visual networky glitch there. Sure, Von Ottenried is still carrying on as he is doing. But yeah, a bit of a clumsy spin for Vindel ahead of the LMP3 leader. And that is going to cause him some damage. And that is going to cost him some pace. So bad news for him, maybe good news for Wright and Tyler Moore just behind. See now what it looks like for Tyler Moore. We will go on board with him chasing down for the lead. He's not really close enough to make any sort of inroads, but we'll see what that gap looks like behind him. I was more interested in the gap ahead of him, but here we are. Still working out the kinks. Still working out the kinks. But you can see they're pretty much even between the three of them through turn one. No big moves happening there. Still putting in very solid laps across the field, though. That last lap between Von Ottenried and Tyler Moore, as I'll show you now, it was... Well, it doesn't say because his last lap wasn't valid, but I'll tell you. It's, well, I just saw it, and now I've lost it. Oh, no, it is gone. Well, I was going to say, we'll see where the gap is between them, because it seemed that Von Ottenried lost some time. A little bit of shoving and nudging in the background between, is that Jace Wright and Joshua Nelson? It is. It's Joshua Nelson who came through the field, and, well, out of Lesmo, too, a bit of contact between them. See what that looked like on a replay. It goes a bit wide, has a bit of a wiggle, comes back over, leaves the door open on the braking zone. He takes too much curb on the exit, though, does Nelson, and it's a little bit of a door bang on the exit. But nothing too disastrous there. I think there was maybe a flash of apology, or perhaps a flash of anger between them. Michael Maleta going wide into Lesmo 1, losing a whole host of positions. That was the driver who was running up in, I believe it was possibly up into 4th, maybe 3rd. But a trip into the gravel has lost them a handful of positions to the McLaren and the Lexus ahead. But nothing race-ending. Any incident you can walk away from is a good one. I don't think that's true. I don't think most drivers would agree with me there. Tony Sparks, your overall race leader and the leader in the LMP2 field, doing a phenomenal job. And is now pulled 5 seconds on the lead of this race. Denison De Leon, the only man who's really been able to, that's only matching his pace at this point. Unfortunately for him, though, he ended up taking a slight detour in an alternate line, shall we say, that lost him the race early on. And it's the same sort of thing, same sort of story for Kurt Von Ottenried. He's had some struggles. He's had to really work for it to get to the lead of the field. But at the moment, he is fairly comfortable out in front, sort of putting down some good lap times, putting some distance between himself and Tyler Moore. I think, though, Joshua Nelson is going to have to say something about Moore's current position. He's getting close. He's really absolutely stormed up through the field. His pace is fairly incredible. Maybe a little bit of a lift for Nelson behind Moore. Everybody thinking about doing fuel saving, and strategy isn't something we've talked about yet, as Moore on the exit of turn 2 goes off just a bit. And, well, a bit unfortunate for Tyler Moore, the man himself, who is one of the guys at ARL that runs this league, and he's the reason that I'm here. He sent me a Discord message a few weeks ago. Said, "Hey, do you want to do you want to come broadcast our series?" At that point earlier on, I had said no, but this tool had just come out. It's only been out for maybe 2-3 weeks at this point, and I said, because of this tool, because of the ease of use and what it sort of gives me, I'm happy to do it. We're gonna see now what happened to Tyler Moore coming out of turn 1. It's just too early on the power. You know, no big error from Moore, but a costly one for sure. That's dropped him all the way back down to 5th. Any errors at Monza, because the lap is fairly short and cars are moving so quickly. If you're stationary for 2-3 seconds out of a quick corner like that, could be worse. Leon in the YouTube chat, thank you. I promise you I'm not a natural at this. It's taken I think my first stream was 7-8 months ago, and if you heard, it actually also was at Monza. It also was actually on LMU as well. So Monza's always a bit of a broadcast homecoming for me. It's somewhere I've found a good bit of comfort. If you heard what that stream sounded like versus tonight, you'd probably think a little bit differently about my performance. But no, it's always great to broadcast a race. I love talking about cars. I love watching them. I love driving them. I just do it a bit slowly. There's a couple of cars beginning to come into the pit lane. That double fuel really causing some issues. Or not some issues, but some strategy calls for the P2s. They just use so much fuel so quickly. I think they only have a 70-liter tank, and it's a big honking V8 that's in the back of them. So coming down to the wire, I think Tony Sparks might be in the end of this lap. I see 9%, 10%, 7%, 8% for the top 4 in LMP2. That's Tyler Moore there in the LMP3. You see the closing speed between the P2s and the P3s. It's like seeing a hypercar go through, quite honestly. The unrestricted LMP2s. The first of our LMGT3 pit stops is Kevin Serra. He's in now. And well, I had a feeling that it would be a 2-stop for the P2s and LMGT3s. However, the LMP3s, they don't have, I think they still have a 70-liter tank, similar to the LMP2s, but because it's a few less cylinders and a turbocharged engine, they're just really fuel efficient. It can go for a very long time. All the drivers still have about a third of a tank remaining, so they should be able to make it towards half distance to where it is going to be a 1-stop race for them. But all the P2s now, the rest of the P2s now, are heading into pit lane. See where everybody comes out as that all unfolds. And since it's early enough in the race, and I think maybe not a ton going on track, I'm gonna take this opportunity to show off where everybody's looking in the championship. I tested this so many times before we started, and I really hope it works. It does work, however, I had it set up wrong. This is your championship standings in round 3, starting with the LMP2 field. There have been 2 rounds. The drop round has already instated, so really only 1 round of scoring for everybody else. Adam Taraj is in first, Dove Myers second, Denison De Leon, Hernandez in third, Javier Sanabria fourth, Fernando Deutsch fifth, Randy Magruder sixth, Devin Anthony seventh, Jacob Lozano in 8th, Leon Vendel 9th, and Tony Sparks is yet to score some points so far, so he is in 10th. The LP3 field, Nunzio Lanza is leading that. in the Ligier. Tyler Moore second, Jack Wright third, Leon Vallejo in fourth, Daniel Kent fifth, Ricky Bobby sixth, Joshua Nelson seventh, Todd Tillery eighth, Rem Wink ninth, Danny Campbell is in 10th, and Kurt Von Ottenried, the man himself, has got his own page to himself, so good for him. He's hopefully going to score some good points today. Chase Jones leads the LMP3 field, or excuse me, the LMGT3 field into round 3. Michael Maleta second, Kevin Serra-Lozano third, Alex Bonacorda fourth, Denzel Kitchens in fifth, Pina sixth, Montez seventh, Duran eighth, Hideyoshi ninth, Daniel Myers is in 10th, Rob Ruggiero, Andres Gonzalez, Richard Mites are 11th, 12th, and 13th, with Marte Lopez and Ramirez St. Clair not scoring points. So far, everything worked. I'm very pleased. I spent some time getting that ready, so I had to show it off. At some point, if I missed anything exciting on circuit, I would like to apologize, but it doesn't seem that I missed a whole lot other than Joshua Nelson being hot on the heels. If I can get the camera to point in a straight line, there it is, of Kurt Von Ottenried in the LMP3 field, and you can sort of, that gives you a good example of the straight line speed difference here at Monza between a GT3 and an LMP3. It's greater than it is on other circuits when the car's set up for higher downforce configuration. That straight line speed is looks not quite as stout, but coming through sector 1, it's not the gap hasn't come down too much between the pair. And this reminds me, because I completely forgot, the Ginetta, for whatever reason, I think it's because it's British, it's right-hand drive. Every other car is left-hand drive, except for the Ginetta, as far as LMU is concerned. I'm sure there are other race cars that are right-hand drive, and, well, prototypes in general are single-seater cars, so it is on the more right side of the car than it is on the left. But it gives you a good view of the onboard. Some of the steering inputs, obviously, on a straight. Not much to what it looks like. Downshifting pretty rapidly. Third gear at this stage in the race. Getting a lot of that apex curve through turn 10. But, Joshua Nelson put together a really, really impressive qualifying. And he put together a very, very impressive race start. He made a mistake early on that pushed him back to the field, and he's totally scythed through the field early on. I kind of thought he would absolutely slide on past Kurt Von Ottenried, but at the moment, it is very equal between the pair. That last lap, Ottenried was actually a bit quicker than Nelson, as the rest of the field is fairly spread out. I'm looking down. LMGT3s, the final two LMGT3s entering pit lane, promoting Chase Jones back to the lead of this race. And just for my own curiosity, I'm curious. Well, I was curious how many positions have been gained, but I know for a fact that's mostly wrong. I think the only correct one for this is the LMP2 field. I think that's correct. I believe Tony Sparks is up to. De Leon is where he started, and Sanabria is the man who's down from pole. And LMP3, that's not correct. Mathematically, that doesn't even make sense that everybody would be up multiple positions when there's only 5 cars. Don't know. Same with LMGT3. Still some kinks. Obviously, in the system, everyone in LMP2 and everyone in LMGT3 has done their pit stop The LMP3 cars maybe have a lap or two to go. My best bet, I see that Kurt Von Ottenried has 10%. Joshua Nelson has a bit more at 13%. But for the most part, they are running or beginning to run a bit on fumes. Michael Valeda maybe just had a bit of an issue. Well, maybe not. They could have just been genuine overtakes there. Let's see what occurred. This is Lopez having just have gotten past Maleta there. Ooh, I was correct. It was a bit assisted. Michael Maleta yet again going wide. Oh, it's a bit of a hip check at the exit of Ascari between Maleta and who's that? Might in the McLaren. Curious to see what that is. If the replay is going to give something to me. Possibly. Let's see what this looks like between the pair. Nope, that's the same incident we just saw. But nothing has shown up quite yet. A couple yellow flags appearing hither and thither, but nothing, nobody's stationary too terribly long worth mentioning. This is Ricky Bobby. Great name. Great name. Ted's in the chat. I'm on the big screen at on Amelia Island. And hello. Hello, everyone. I hope my performance is acceptable. Ricky Bobby now coming into pit lane. He's the lowest of the P3s, but I think everybody is in now, except for the Ligier of Joshua Nelson. Interestingly, he maybe has done a bit of fuel saving coming through the field. I think he had exactly enough to do one more lap, 5% when he started this one. That might be, well, I'd hope that would be enough. I'm being told it's going great. And that's great. No, things are feeling good. This tool is, have a reasonable bit of experience, not running it, but using it. I was actually commentating a LMU race earlier today. Gotta say, conditions, not as good as this. It was Interlagos, it was chucking it down, and I think half the field, or a third of the field, ended up DNFing. So, good to see the attrition right here is a little bit better. But, no, this new LMU tool developed by whoever, it's a racing organization that I think two guys just sort of were like, what if we did this ourselves? And it is unbelievable. I will sing their praises till I die. It's been getting updates every couple of days. A couple new nice-to-haves just recently, and it's wonderful. It's treating me good tonight. Nothing is broken? Unless it's been self-inflicted. Gonna see, I think there's a bit of contact between the Lexus and Kurt Von Ottenried maybe coming out of pit lane. I don't see anything. It was, nope. All right, false alarm. A bit of possible contact was reported, but no contact was indeed had. A bit of a fight on for the Wooden Spoon Award, just ahead of the Wooden Spoon Award in LMP2. It's Javier Sanabria, the pole sitter, Kate chasing Devin Anthony. Both drivers running the same livery, the Proton competition car. Are they teammates? I don't know. I'm going to pretend that they are, just to induce some drama. A lifting coast for Sanabria, a little bit of a wiggle for Anthony. But because of the way Ascari's laid out, he wasn't able to make his way through. He had to lift just a bit. Porsche on the left side, they will absolutely boost past that. I think that's Tyler Moore in an LMP3 just ahead. See how things look coming into the Parabolica. LMP2s both should be able to go well low of Tyler Moore. They have greater grip, greater downforce, and it's easy to do. We'll see what it looks like as they come into turn one. It's a bit of, it's definitely some fuel saving from Sanabria. Maybe using, it is certainly a strategy you can do, and in longer races or races where there are multiple pit stops, it is something worth doing. If you feel like the pace of the car ahead of you is good enough, you use them to save a bit of fuel. You'll gain advantage being in their slipstream, and use a bit less fuel to boot. So Sanabria hoping to save some fuel in order to save some time in the pit stop. And maybe lost a bit of time behind some P3 traffic. But that's Multiclass, folks. Multiclass giveth and Multiclass taketh away, as my good friend Kevin Boss said on my very first broadcast. And I have basically said that in every single Multiclass race I've ever done. I know he's not the first person to say that, but that's where I heard it from. But this is the fight for the LMP3 lead. Joshua Nelson has come back through the field, and he's back on the back of Kurt Von Ottenried. Ligier versus Ginetta. Straight line speed versus slightly less straight line speed generally. See that a bit in action there. The gap comes down into the braking zone. But, you know, I'm actually curious. Go back on board with Nelson. These cars are a bit quieter, so I don't think I'd be able to hear if Ottenried was, Oh, we've actually got a DNF. That's Richard Might in the United Autosports McLaren. Curious. It's just sort of... I don't see anything on the screen, and I don't hear any lifting and coasting from Nelson. I mean, the LMP3s, they don't need to stop again. So I'd be surprised if I was hearing any. But I was just curious. I'll see. I do see a yellow flag a bit previous by Richard Might. Actually, this is an overtake here between Vindel and Might. I mean, it's LMP2, but I didn't know if there'd be any sort of contact involved. And no, I don't see anything that has shown up that would sort of indicate why. Maybe, I don't know. I can't say. But unfortunate for any DNFs. But that is the first of the evening. I did just notice, somehow I entirely missed it, but Michael Maleta actually got a drive-through penalty earlier on in the race. And I'm going to wait to see what caused that in just a moment. I feel like a move could be coming. Perhaps. This is closer than he was last lap. The gap under 2/10. If he's going to do it, it's going to have to be on the brakes. It's going to have to be the long way around. Very confident on the brakes, though, but he's going a bit deep. He's going to have to cut that corner, give that position back quickly, and that's going to be a bit of a time loss for Joshua Nelson, but he's feeling it. He's fighting for it. That's a bit of a misjudgment on the brakes. We're going to see what caused that drive-through penalty. This will let me know if it was speeding, if it was maybe, well, interesting. And it's also a DNF from Michael Bleda. There he is in the garage. I missed that as well. Another driver dropping off the field. When I said Richard Might was the first, I was indeed incorrect. We've actually had a handful of LMGT3s that have DNF so far. Richard Might, Michael Maleta, Jason Marte Streamer, and Alexander Bonacorda have all DNF'd from this race. It seems that the two teammates are back at it. The fight has resumed between the pair in the Proton cars. See what it looks like. Got a bit of GT3 traffic of St. Clair and Tetsuo Hideyoshi. Trying to get that extra bit of slipstream from those cars. It doesn't seem like, I was going to say, it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get it done this time. But it's a lockup in the rear for Anthony, and Sanabria is able to swing through with ease. I like to call that a freebie. Or as my friend Callum likes to say, that's the mind punt. He used his powers to punt that car around with nothing but his brain. A mistake for the other man in the Proton. That has promoted Sanabria up to the top 5. See exactly what happened with Devin Anthony in this replay. Coming into turn 1, right as he gets towards the crux of the braking, just starts to step out. I think a little bit of locking as well. Rightfully waits long enough for cars to clear through. Rejoins the circuit safely in 6th position. I don't know why I'm saying but I've done it. Here's Jace right now, thinking about it on Ricky Bobby. He's going to have to go around the outside through Ascari. That would be unbelievable if he does, and he does. With relative ease as well. Manages to get a pretty good exit. The issue with sort of going for a move at the beginning of Ascari is the opportunity for the driver behind to get immediately back into the slipstream and come right back at you. But he did it so well that Ricky Bobby didn't have the overspeed on the exit to come back. See what it looks like between the two heading down towards T1. You can see the gap coming down due to the slipstream, but it's gonna be close. Is it enough? He steps out. He thinks about it on the brakes, but he just doesn't quite have the braking performance. And Jace Wright also just going maybe a little bit deep, but able to rescue that corner without any, without much injury. We'll see. It's coming back the way of Ricky Bobby through Curva Grande. Long, sweeping corner that doesn't really feel like much of a corner. But I think Jace Wright has just got a bit more confidence braking late. But as you see, Ricky Bobby, though, is exiting corners generally better. Slow in, fast out is the mantra of many racing drivers. The mantra of performance. They're dead even coming out of Lesmo 2, though, this time. This is a fight for a podium, so it's something absolutely worth fighting. And just looking ahead, taking a peek at the virtual energy of cars in the field, you'll see. Oh my gosh, it gives percentage numbers now. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, that's so nice now. Not usually it in the past it just gave little bars and it didn't give numbers, so I'd have to read them out, but I don't have to. It's right in front of you. Tetsuo Hideyoshi in pit lane now. Thought he didn't have enough for another lap coming in, and I will say the energy screen, it does update at the end of every lap. So as they cross the line, it will update for them. I do see a possible bit of contact between Chase Jones in the Porsche and Devin Anthony in the LMP3. We'll see coming into Curva Grande. Maybe a bit of a kiss. Nope. Giving each other a respectable amount of space. Maybe Chase Jones felt the need to go a little bit wide, but no contact there. I always get a bit nervous when I see something show up between two classes. You never want to see a bit of multi-class murder, as it's sometimes called. We'll jump right back onto the fight between Wright and Bobby. It's really the only fight in the field at the moment. A couple more GT3s entering pit lane. Fernando Deutsch has gone in, as well as Randy Magruder in the LMP2 field. Sanabria is in now. Vindel is in as well. And everybody, if appropriate, please just give a round of applause for Vindel. And he's currently on circuit in 18th overall. He clearly started this race a bit late, but he still showed up. He got into the car. He still is driving around, coming and showing up for the points. And I think that is a wonderful, wonderful attitude to have, and also a wonderful, wonderful livery. Love a pink car. Hello Kitty on it, even better. But he comes out of pit lane and maybe setting the personal goal of finishing the race possibly ahead of the LM GT3s. Maybe, possibly. That might be a bit difficult to do with only a little bit of time. Ricky Bobby's made his way past, or excuse me, it's Tyler Moore making his way past Jace Wright. I think he came out of, well, he didn't come out of pit lane. Wait just a moment. Wait just a moment. Let's see, this is a replay between Ricky Bobby and Jace Wright just a moment ago. I think I see the problem here. So Jace Wright. Oh. Aha. I'm going to look at this just one more time. I think Jace Wright went very deep into turn one and cut the corner. You can see the tail end of it there. I wish it gave me a bit more time. I could adjust that. We're not going to worry about that now. So Jace Wright, for those of you who are a bit unfamiliar with the penalty system in Le Mans Ultimate, something that can happen if you cut a corner, it will give you a warning for the severity, and you basically have to give up time accordingly. So that was Jace Wright giving up what he thought was an appropriate amount of time, which ended up having to be a lot of time because he's now down into 5th. Tyler Moore came through, but it's a fight between the pair. Tyler Moore maybe struggling a bit on the exit. Their line astern now, keeping company by the Inter-Europol car. And it's going to be last of the late breakers into turn one. Tyler Moore, though, getting maybe a helping hand of Slipstream from the LMP2 ahead. They're mostly even on the brakes, but Jace Wright able to squeeze through. A bit of a lockup from the P2 behind. But Jace Wright jumping back above, back into 4th position. Maybe a bit out of contention for a podium, but still a position worth fighting. These are valuable points still early on in this championship, of course, so, you know, every point matters. And in speaking of this championship, just to give you a little look of what we have coming up, the first 2 rounds were Bahrain and Sebring, for anyone that was wondering, since we weren't here. We will be heading, excuse me, next week we'll be heading to France for Le Mans, a circuit that needs no introductions, basically what I was getting towards that. Then we head to Belgium for Spa, and the final round will be at Fuji, a personal favorite circuit of mine, so we'll be looking forward to that. Looking through the field, I think most fights have sort of solidified themselves. 12 minutes remain in this hour-long race, and I feel like I haven't given the LMGT3 field a whole lot of love tonight. And for those of you who drive LMGT3s, I would like to apologize. If anything happened, I missed it, quite literally. I will endeavor to show you guys some more love next time, but you know, the man himself, Chase Jones, has pretty much led this race from the start, save for a couple of laps. I think he and Diego Ramirez St. Clair, the BMW behind, will be coming into pit lane for their final stop. It'll be a little bit of a splash and dash for them, but there's certainly been some action in the LMGT3 field. But I just hate to tell you, haven't quite seen it all. Certainly enough action to determine a couple cars not making it to the finish line. Chase Jones, though, leads an LMGT3, your overall leader, Tony Sparks, after not the most... Actually, that's not true. I was going to say not the most inspiring qualifying from him. It was a good, solid qualifying position, but just having not made mistakes and having driven super consistently with some good pace to boot. 11.5 seconds ahead of the nearest competition, Denison De Leon in his apparently Ferrari. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe he's in a 499P, just dressed up as an LMP2. I don't know. But, you know, Tony Sparks is a testament to consistency as a driver, and how that consistency and lack of mistakes can come to a superb performance, and is in really, really good shape to take victory in 10 minutes. Another good, another driver who consistency and lack of mistakes has been their mantra for tonight is Kurt Von Ottenried. He's had to work for it, for absolute sure, for this race. He had to hold off Joshua Nelson for many, many laps. And now he's begun to... Oh, that's an LMP2 of Randy Magruder, who's gone around into Ascari, but he gets back going safely. Doesn't get in anybody's way too terribly, and he should be still comfortably in third. But Kurt Von Ottenried has drove a superb race. And this man, Joshua Nelson, it is going to be a race of what if. You know, what if he didn't go off on lap 2? What if he didn't have to drive through the field? What could that gap have been? Towards the end of this race, though, he hasn't had the pace that he showed early on. And he does still have the fastest lap of this race with that 44.8. Nobody else in the LMP3s has been in a 44. So that shows the 1 lap pace, but maybe not able to carry that all the way through the race. There's more happening between Tyler Moore and Jace Wright. They just swapped positions earlier on, and I completely missed it. So we're gonna see what that looks like. It's into that's Curva Grande out of the exit of 1. Clearly Jace Wright maybe making a bit of a mistake and not able to hold on to it. But another driver that maybe it's a what if or a what could have been is the man we're on board with now, Tyler Moore. You know, he showed some superb pace. He led the race for a while, and some mistakes coming back to haunt him here at Monza. But maybe hoping to snatch just a few extra. And it is worth mentioning, Tyler Moore, Jace Wright, if they work together just a bit, you can see the 711 LMP2 of Ricky Bobby just ahead going into Ascari, being held up just a bit by that Lexus. So that gap is going to massively swing back their way. So these two might be looking at an extra position. See how they deal with the traffic here. Got a Lexus ahead. But, oh, it's a bit of a wiggle for Wright and Tyler Moore. They're having to make the long way around, but there's a Porsche there. They're going to sneak through. They have plenty of space to do so. Bit of multi-class madness to end off our night. Handful of laps still to go. I think Jace Wright, because of this, is going to have an opportunity to take his position back. I feel like I've seen more moves around the outside of turn 1 tonight than I maybe ever have. A bit of a nudge on the exit, but Tyler Moore has this one for the moment. Moore could very well come back through Curva Grande. He does just a bit. He's enough ahead, or enough alongside, I should say, that into the brakes. Very superbly confident on the brakes. But he's right around the old switcheroo through the second chicane into Lesmo 1 now. These two battling on. As I was saying a moment ago, if they work together, they could catch up to Ricky Bobby and turn into a bit of a three-way fight. But their battle being as violent and racing as hard as they have been, it was just a second last lap around. Now it's 2 seconds. We're gonna see the LMP2 of, that's either Sanabria or Devin Anthony, both in that Proton car, so I couldn't say who exactly it is. Maybe putting a bit of a rift between Moore and Wright. Multiclass give a thing to Jace Wright and take a thing away from Tyler Moore just a bit there. 5 minutes remain. Don't believe anybody in the field is going to need to take another pit stop. As I say that, maybe an LMGT3 or 2 might need something. Here's Kevin Serra. We saw these two fighting just a moment ago. Last lap. Here's Serra. Oh, actually, he done just maybe lifting a bit there and giving that position over without much of a fight. I was going to say, I think it was going to be another late-breaking battle into 1. I'm curious, though, what the thought process was there, because I didn't really fight it too much. I don't think either of them are fuel-saving. They have plenty to go to the end. And through goes the Lexus on the Porsche for 4th position. And check back in on the boys in the LMP3 field. And I must say, however light the P3 field was tonight, only 5 drivers taking to the circuit, it has been some of the best racing we've seen all night, has been from all of them, which just makes me excited to see a little bit more stout of a grid. Hopefully next week, see this almost the full or closer to full grid really going at it, because the competition has been great. I think a bit of some errors. I was gonna say a bit of some errors for Joshua Nelson. He's without a rear wing coming into the final stages. I noticed that drop on pace, and I see that yellow flag from Nelson. This perhaps is where he lost his rear wing. Oh yeah, that's gonna be rear wing gone into Lesmo 1. And I want to actually see that one again, hopefully from the onboard. Oh, hold on, we'll do that one more time for Joshua Nelson. I'm not trying to rub salt into the wound. I just want to see what oh, it's still not giving me the onboard camera. Come on, Wiggly. It's just a bit of a wiggle. I was wondering what prompted the counter steer, and he just started to go around and try to save it, but perhaps that ended up making it just a little bit worse. But that is honestly a bit of heartbreak for our pole sitter, Joshua Nelson, losing his rear wing at the very end of the race, promoting the rest of the field. Ricky Bobby, Joshua Wright, and Tyler Moore up a position. And I think I said earlier on, it doesn't seem like Jace Wright's in contention for a podium. I was wrong. He's currently sitting on the podium. And we could be starting our final lap here. I think we are starting our final lap here with Tony Sparks. Not much happening through the rest of the field. Well, actually, I say that. Oh, incorrect car. This is who I wanted to be on board with. It's Diego Ramirez St. Clair, because if you notice, the gap between himself and Chase Jones isn't as big as it was a couple of laps ago. I didn't know if he was maybe close enough to make a move. Could be a mistake from him that caused, you know, the time to come back. Actually, I see a note of possible contact between the LMP2 of Leon Vindel and Chase Jones. We'll see. Uh-oh. Is it going to be something into one? Oh, no, it's just that Chase Jones goes deep on his own. So he wasn't involved in contact, but that would be where he lost the time between the two. But I think the final lap for Chase Jones in the LMGT3 field. The final lap has been started in the LMP3 field by Kurt Von Ottenried. But it's this man, Tony Sparks, who's going to take overall victory. A bit of celebration before coming over the line. Tony Sparks takes victory here at Monza in round 3. A fantastic drive. Maybe a bit of a lonely one towards the end, but De Leon comes across the line. The rest of the LMP3 field has been finished as well. Ricky Bobby, second. Jace Wright did hold on to third position, but he did get very close towards the end. Should be Chase Jones having a bit of a drift momentarily. I think it'll be Kurt Von Ottenried, the next to cross the line for victory. And the beautiful thing is, you know, normally I'd be like, oh, if nothing goes wrong. Well, he could lose his rear wing and most of his tires. But because he finished a lap ahead of the rest of his field, he's golden. He can't not win this race as long as that car crosses the finish line. And I think that would give a driver just a bit of comfort. Take it easy on the way home. Take it easy around the final corner. But it will be a class victory for Kurt Von Ottenried in the Ginetta, holding off the Ligier all the way through to take his class victory. The next man across the line is Chase Jones. Victory in LMP3, followed closely by Diego Ramirez St. Clair. It got a little bit close towards the very end, but not close enough to go a different way. One of the last drivers to come across the line is Tetsuo Hideyoshi in the AMG. The final step of the podium for them. Our only remaining car, Denzel Kitchens, in that M Racing inspired BMW, comes to take victory. And a little bit of donuts to boot. Keep doing that. A little bit of a tap on the wall. Excellent, excellent race here at Monza. An absolute treat, I must say. See if I can get a slightly prettier picture to end us on, but I don't think I can. I don't think I can choose. Everybody's in pit lane at this point. So I think now would be the perfect time to show off our results. Or that. Here are our results. I'll get it better next week, I promise. I'm just glad everything's functioning. Here is the race results. We'll start with the LMP2 field. We just talked about him. A fantastic result. Tony Sparks takes victory here in Italy. And Denison De Leon in the, well, Ferrari, apparently, as the session begins to close. Let's see. Is there any... Can I get some sort of pretty picture? maybe I'll just go to the main menu. It looks nice enough. That'll be a good enough background. We'll work with that. Hopefully, maybe I'll have something prepared next week. A nice track picture. Maybe a picture of my face in the background. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. But to finish off our race, I will continue to go through the session results. De Leon in the supposed Ferrari, taking second place. Deutsch in third in the LMP3 or LMP2 category. Excuse me. It's I'm just running out of steam apparently. Randy Magruder takes fourth. Sanabria fifth. Devin Anthony in sixth, and Vindel coming and grabbing those points, starting the race 2 laps down, but still putting in an effort, and I respect the hell out of that. In LMP3, a lighter grid than we're used to seeing from them, but still a phenomenal race. Kurt Von Ottenried taking victory in his class. Ricky Bobby, kept it consistent, didn't make any mistakes. Maybe didn't have the pace to be the second fastest car, but ended up there anyways. Only just Jace Wright closing it down at the very end of the race, nearing second, maybe not close enough. One less mistake could have been a best of the rest, but it's third for them. Tyler Moore finishes in fifth, and Joshua Nelson, what could have been. Parabolica getting the best of them in lap 2, and Lesmo 1 getting the best later in the race. Means fifth and final position for the LMP3s was as good as he's going to do. Still a fantastic points position altogether. Chase Jones took victory in the LMP3 field, and St. Clair took second. Hideyoshi third. Sarah fourth. Lopez fifth. Pena sixth. Kitchens seventh. And it begins with the fair few DNFs we have of Might, Maleda, Streamer, and I think there was one more of Bonacorda. The rest, I don't believe were here. But, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I am very pleased because I feel like that went pretty well from where I'm standing. And I thoroughly hope that you enjoyed what I had to show for you this evening. And hopefully I'll be here next week. We have another race next week at Le Mans. So I'll see you then. I certainly hope. If you're interested in joining us, all of the information is in the description below. Join the Discord. Check us out on SimGrid. Sign up for some events. And if you're interested in commentary or broadcasting in the future, I'm open to having somebody in the box with me or training you up and teaching you how to do things poorly. So send me a Discord DM, reach out to me through the ARL Discord. However you want to do that, that would be appreciated. I'm sure people get tired of hearing my voice every time. So for the sake of everyone else, some variety would be good. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday night. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, wear your seatbelt, look both ways before crossing the street, and call your mother. Have a wonderful night, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all soon.